All right, we have another request from Peter Benevente, and that is Phone Booth with Colin Farrell, Katie Holmes, Kiefer Sutherland, Rhoda Mitchell, Forrest Whitaker. A lot of cast in this movie for a single location film. Now, I've never seen this movie, weirdly enough. I know what it is, of course. I've seen clips of it, sure, but I've never watched this from start to finish, not to my memory, and I have a pretty damn good memory when it comes to film. So I do not think I've ever sat down and watched this movie. That being said, having now watched it, finding out that it was made in 2002, being the single location and whatnot, and kind of the theme of the film of making people look at their actions and try to have a newfound respect for life and trying to teach them a lesson. And as I said, it comes out in 2002. And Saw is released in 2004. So you would see this movie in 2002 that would prompt you to come up with this one location film where a killer teaches people a lesson. Keep the cast small, keep the budget low. It's a seller's film. It worked here. It was pretty liked by the general audience. It has like a 7.0 on IMDb, so it's pretty liked by the audience. So I think Lee Winnell and maybe James Wan saw this movie and were like, hey, we could play off of that. We could do a one location film. Because there's lots of one location films, but the way that this film plays out, the one location, the lesson teaching, all that stuff is very, very similar to Saw. And the time period lines up perfectly. It would take like a year to come up with the idea, to write it, to go out and pitch it, and then a year for it to be filmed and then put into theaters. So like you got that 2-year window. I think it lines up perfectly. I think there's strong evidence to suggest that this was the film that influenced Saw. Could be wrong, but I'm just going to go out on a limb. Maybe that's just like common knowledge, and I've never seen that before. But to my knowledge, I don't know of anything being confirmed on that. But if someone can confirm that, then yeah, that would be great because that makes perfect sense. I would be surprised otherwise. In fact, I would go as far as to say I would pretty much call bullshit if Lee Winnell was like, oh no, I never even heard of Phone Booth. I didn't get that inspiration from here. I'm like pretty much convinced that this this inspired Saw, which thank you for that, because Saw is, the Saw franchise is my favorite horror movie franchise. So I'm very, very excited. Now, Joel Schumacher, who directed this, just died like this month, in the last couple weeks. So we're getting to a movie right after his death that he directed. Pretty big step up from Batman and Robin. But, of course, we remember Joel Schumacher for stuff like The Lost Boys and whatnot. So Joel Schumacher was a really cool director. And I can tell you that my kids have seen a lot of Batman movies, and they prefer Batman Forever. That's their favorite movie of the Batman films. But they're 7, so it's kind of aimed at them. That's the whole target audience of those movies. And they definitely liked Batman and Robin more than they liked Batman and Batman Returns. So you can be like, my kids have shit taste in films. That's fine. They're 7. But those films are obviously aimed at 7-year-olds. But I have to say, I did enjoy Batman Forever on this viewing. I was like, that was fun. I liked that movie. Like, there's silly stuff about it for sure. But it's just like a different universe of Batman. It's like a very silly, playful, cartoonish, animated kind of world. Like, I feel like if Batman... I feel the same about the prequels, where I feel like if they were animated, people would be totally fine with them. Like, if they made an animated Batman Forever, if they made an animated Batman and Robin, if they made an animated Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, I think people would like them dramatically more. Like, people are like, oh, that was a fun Batman movie. I think it's just the live action presentation of something that is very cartoonish that people don't like. That's my own take on that anyway. But yeah, this is a pretty good movie. It's one of those movies you got to keep real short, because you can only take one location so long before they start to overstay their welcome. And there's a lot of one location films. And one location films for me, you typically work. Like when I really think of all the one location movies that I've seen, where it really is used as the gimmick for the film, whether it's a Saw, whether it's a Buried, whether it's a Cube, whether it's, even something like Coherence or something, where it all just takes place in a house. It all takes place in one single location. This never overstays its welcome for me. Now there are some silly aspects to it for sure, and we'll get into those, of course. But for the most part, I did quite enjoy the movie. I do think Saw is far superior, but it's still a pretty cool flick. And I do think it is, as I said, the influence for what would become Saw. So, very important film as well, if I'm accurate. So you get this like Twilight Zone intro, which isn't played upon anywhere else in the film. So I thought it was kind of odd, where they're having this voiceover of like, there's a million phones and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was a weird opening. Like, was that necessary? What was that? Just very Twilight Zone-esque. Like, I felt like Rod Sterling should have been narrating the opening. It almost felt like a Twilight Zone episode because of that opening. Now, Colin Farrell's character in this is a total asshole. And throughout the film, he kind of realizes what an asshole he's been. But like Jigsaw, would this reform somebody? Would this have that profound effect that Kiefer Sutherland's character looks to have? He doesn't have a character name in this movie. It's just the caller. Would something like this dramatically change someone's character, who they are? Would this be the shock to the system that a person like this would need to change? And I think the answer is, it depends, of course. Everybody's different. Some people would resort back very quickly to the way they were. Some people, it would be a slow process, but inevitably they would go kind of revert back to who they were. And I think there are some people that would be like, oh my God, I'm going to change. And they would. Hopefully like Roman K. Hessel from Fight Club. I hope that he did go back to veterinarian school and that he got away from that shitty job in that shitty apartment. You have those moments where you have those characters that put these people, or Raymond K. Hessel, not Roman. Yeah, Raymond. Yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, you put these people in these really dire situations where they think their life is over, and then you give them their life back. And as Tyler Durden says, tomorrow will be the best day of his life. Like his breakfast will be the best breakfast he's ever had, this and that. It's true to a sense, for sure. And I do think that he would change. And I feel like Colin Farrell's performance in this and his delivery at the end of this movie, when he is admitting his faults and he's breaking down to his wife and whatnot. Now, I don't feel like he apologizes to Katie Holmes' character enough. Like, he barely speaks to her. Now, granted, he'd really need to focus on his wife more in this moment because that's who he loves, and he's not really even caring about Katie Holmes. Maybe her apology would come later, but he doesn't want to be giving her any attention. Otherwise, his wife's going to be like, yo, homeboy, let's not go there. Did he fuck her? He says he wanted to. They allude that he never did. And she says, I think I can't remember what she said. Like, I thought she said she did fuck him, but I guess she said she wanted to. I can't remember if she does say she fucks him or not. She says something about it, but for some reason I thought when she said it, she said she did have sex with him. And then when he was saying all this shit, he was saying to his wife, like when he was telling her the truth, I wanted to fuck her. But that was because he was forcing him to say that stuff. He didn't want to come out and say that stuff. But then later he does kind of come out and he's like, I didn't say it for you. I said it for me. Like, I wanted to tell my wife because I love her, because I fucked up, because I want to change. This is real to me. So, do I think he fucked her? I don't know. I think he would have if he hadn't, for sure, 100%. And to find out that they've only been married for one single year and he's already out talking to other women when their relationship seems to be pretty solid. Like, this guy's dreadful. Like, I'm not going to sit here and hammer and bash on people who have had affairs and whatnot. Like, things are way more complicated than you think they are. Like, when you're young, you think everything's so simplistic. And you think, oh, I'd never do this and I'd never do that. And then you grow up and you get into life and you start to see how complicated things become. How kids complicate things, how life complicates things, how buying a house, all these things. You don't understand how complicated things can become. So anyone who says, I'll never do this, you haven't lived enough life. That's all. Anytime anybody says the word never, I think you just haven't lived long enough yet. Maybe you'd never do that thing, but saying you would never do that thing, just you haven't been in that position yet to do those things. This movie also actually reminds me a lot of Die Hard with a Vengeance. Now, this came out after Die Hard with a Vengeance, so I can't say that influenced that movie, but maybe this movie was influenced by Simon Says, which I think was the original name for the Die Hard with a Vengeance script that they, rewrote to become a Die Hard film. I'm a huge fan of Die Hard with a Vengeance. It's actually my favorite Die Hard movie. I know, blasphemy. But I love the first one pretty much just as much. I just love the inclusion of Zeus. Samuel L. Jackson's character Zeus just ramps up the buddy element of the movie. As much as I like Reginald's character, Sergeant Al Powell, in the first movie, I just like Zeus's character more, and it's a better dynamic for me that you get more of. It's just a fun movie, and plus it's not a one location movie like Nakatomi Plaza as is with Die Hard. You get to move around all of New York City. Big fan of McTiernan's Die Hard with a Vengeance. Just such a fucking great movie. And this reminds me of like when he's talking to Simon on the phone, and he's kind of telling him what to do, and he's being, powerful on the phone and dictating his actions and all that stuff. So that works. And having to call all these people and being forced to tell them the truth and all that, and having to listen to the truth being told about you. I've done some shitty things. I have lied, and I've done things that I never thought in a million years I would do. And coming clean on those things, which I did do eventually, mostly because I was forced to, but thank God I was forced to, because it was the right thing to do, and I was so relieved once I finally got that shit out. Like, oh my God, I couldn't hold that information anymore. It's like a cancer. It's like poison inside of your body. Like, you can't live a happy life when you're filled with lies, when you're filled with dishonesty, especially with people who you supposedly are supposed to care about that are around you, that are in your everyday life or anything. Like, it's just not a good life to live. I went down that road. I never thought I'd go down that road. I swore up and down I'd never go down that road, and I did. I did go down that road. I was a pretty shitty person. I mean, I'm not to blame 100%. Relationships are two-sided. I was extremely unhappy, and that was my partner's fault. 50-50. Relationships are 50-50. But on my 50, on my side of things, I fucked up. I did some stupid shit, some shit I'm not proud of. And this movie did resonate with me in that way, where I was watching him having to come clean about something kind of with a gun to his head, quite literally. And I've had that happen, and it's not fun. It's so... Somebody's playing drums right outside the house right now. It's so fucking loud. It's hard to pay attention to what I'm doing, and I can't close my door because it's too damn hot. But yeah, it's very humbling. I can tell you that. You lose all ego once you have to start admitting the shit you've done, the terrible thing. You can't hide behind the I'm so cool, I'm so awesome, I'm so amazing kind of notion anymore. You have to basically bow and be like, I'm a piece of shit. Like, I can't even defend any of my actions. It's very, very difficult, but necessary. If you've got secrets from your partner, if you've got secrets from loved ones, if you're lying to them, I know it's difficult, I know it's hard, but you gotta come clean. It's good for everybody, no matter what the repercussions are. Unless it's gonna cause you like death. Like if somebody's gonna find out they're gonna murder you over it or something crazy, then it's probably best that you don't say that. But if the worst thing that's gonna happen to you is like it's gonna fuck up your family and people you're gonna break up and all that stuff, it's not good to live with that stuff. It really it's very hard on your health, mental health, physical health, all of the above. So I would recommend, like in this movie, having that awakening, having that moment where you realize this shit ain't worth it. This shit, you can feel it in your body. You know what I'm talking about if you have this going on right now. I'm telling you, a lot of you will be sitting there like, just listening and being like, yeah, I'm sure he's right. I don't know. I don't have that. But some of you are watching this and you're thinking to yourself, oh, fuck. I know what he's talking about. You can feel it. You can feel it inside of yourself, like a cancer. Something's just not right in there. And you can feel it growing inside of you. It's an ugly feeling. Just let it go, man. The truth is always the best. And that's always how I was. My whole life, I was always about the truth. I always want to tell everybody the truth. Fuck it. Fuck the consequences. Fuck the backlash. I don't give a shit. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to always say what's right. And then I found myself lying to cover up for something that I thought that maybe I could make work because I loved somebody, whatever. It was weird. It got all sorts of screwed up. And you just get, once the lying starts, once the cover-ups start, you start lying about your lying. And then you cover up your cover-ups. And then it just becomes this game of lies. And you just feel fake. You feel phony. You feel like a terrible person. It's not worth it. Let it go. Admit to it. Lose everything. Do what you have to do. It is not good for you. It's not good for anybody. You're living a lie, just like he is in this movie. That's the whole... I'm not saying this to be preachy. I'm saying that because this is the whole point of the movie. This is what the caller is doing in this film. He's trying to point out to Stuart, that his life is a lie. That he's betraying his wonderful, beautiful wife. I mean, she could be a total fucking bitch for all we know. We don't really know. But the way she's presented in the film and the way he talks about it and the way that she seems to be a very understanding, loving, caring woman. She doesn't just like freak out when she finds out about stuff. She cares about this guy. She loves this guy. She wants to be with this guy. And she gives him that opportunity of a second chance. You might not get that chance. I didn't. When I revealed my truth, I was shut out. I had to move. My whole life was turned upside down. Hence why you're seeing the background you're seeing. Oh, you're putting the pieces together. Oh, Jason. Now I get it. And it's embarrassing. It's not something you want to talk about. It's not something you want to admit. But you know what? I'm all about the truth again. I won't ever go back there. And I said never say never, but I know myself now. And I'm 99% sure I'll never get back there. So I'm never going to say never again. For sure. Of course, that's a contradiction into itself because I'm saying never to it. But seriously, I'm as close to 100% as you can be that I'm never going down that road again. I am Mr. Honesty again. I don't give a fuck what the consequences are. And I like to see those kinds of movies. I like to see a guy faced with his own bullshit. Much like Dr. Gordon when he's going and meeting this nurse or this... No, she's not a nurse. I'm sorry. She's a resident, right? She's a resident doctor. She's going to be a doctor. He's going to meet this girl in a hotel room. And... he yells, I never cheated on my wife. And it's like, dude, if you met a chick in a hotel room, if you've been talking to a chick, or if you've been talking to a guy, and you've met them in hotel rooms, and you're talking about, like, fucking and all that, you can tell yourself whatever you want, but that is unfaithful. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's pure cheating, but it's... If you have to keep it from your lover, Like if they can't read your text, if you're deleting messages, if you're meeting people somewhere, if you're having conversations you shouldn't be having, if they overheard it, your marriage would be over, your relationship would be over. What do you call that? That's cheating. Like plain and simple. I always tried to pretend it wasn't, but it fucking is. And I had to come to that conclusion. I had to rethink things and be like and kind of cut through my own bullshit and be like, dude, you're fucking cheating. You might not physically be cheating, but you're emotionally cheating, which is just as devastating. So just same thing with here. Even if he didn't fuck Katie Holmes, he might as well have been. Basically the same fucking thing. He's calling her, he's taking off his wedding ring, he's lying to her, he's having an affair. Even if his dick never enters Katie Holmes in this entire time he's talking to her, he's cheating on his wife. You talked to me about this 2 years ago, and I would have said, I would have disagreed with myself. I would have been sitting here like, no. It's not until you physically touch someone that you're cheating. That is not accurate. I finally had to come to that conclusion that I was fucking cheating. And it really broke me. Because I always was like, Mr. I would never cheat. I would never cheat. And then I look back and I'm like, dude, you've been cheating on like every chick you've ever fucking been with. You piece of shit, you lying motherfucker. Like you've been talking to chicks every fucking time. Like, that's not okay. And that's just what's going on in this movie. That's why I'm bringing any of this stuff up. It really hit me when he was having that breakdown at the end. I think Colin Farrell gives a really great performance, and he's just so broken at the end. Like, I love you so fucking much. I'm so sorry. Like, I took you for granted. I was so scared. And that's what it is. Like, you don't think you're good enough. Everybody has their own reasonings. But for him and me, like, it's one of these things where it's like, you never think that you're going to be good enough. You never think that you're going to be happy. There's not going to be enough fulfillment. There's something that holds you back from being able to be with them, even if you love them. And it's terrible, but you'll never be seen as the victim. So it's even worse, because you'll be in agony with what you've done, but no one is going to be empathetic to it. They're going to be like, no, you're the piece of shit, and you deserve to be miserable. So, a lot of people don't want to come forward on those things because they're going to be looked at like the monster that they are. And that's just it. I just had to accept that everyone that I knew was going to look at me differently. That people were going to be like, Jason. But honestly, a lot of people were pretty, they weren't stoked about it, but they were pretty understanding about it. I think the more you open up to people, the more you'll realize how, like, accepting they can become. And if they're not, that's okay. That's okay. That's their own right. They can dismiss you, kick you out of their life. They have their reasons, and that's right. So if his wife would have left him in this movie, I think that would be fine. It would make sense, and it would be her right. And if she wanted to stay, if she felt like that was good, that she felt like he had the breakthrough, and maybe the physical part of it, that he never did fuck her, would be enough for her. Or maybe if he did fuck her, she would still be like, look, like, you've had your moment. Like, you've come out of this. I'm willing to look past it. Your relationship probably will never be the same. But who knows? It could be even stronger. You don't know. But you just got to say the truth. And with his performance in this at the end, like when he gives that speech at the end, he's crying and he's telling his wife, and I buy it 100%. It feels very realistic. I think Colin Farrell does not get enough credit for his acting. He gets shit on a lot. And I've seen a lot of great performances out of this guy. And this is good. He's a total piece of shit douchebag, loser fuck in the beginning of this movie that you just want to root against. And by the end of this film, like, I really wanted to see him get out of this. I really wanted to see him and his wife. I would have been bummed if he would have got shot. I would have been super bummed had he not had the ability to reconnect with his wife, to get that second chance. You want him to have that second chance at the end of this movie. And I think that's a testament to his performance and the writing and the execution in the film. And yeah, I mean, really the only person that gets killed in this, that we know for sure gets killed, because I don't even know if Kiefer actually killed those other guys. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Probably did, I don't know. But regardless, he kills that pimp. And I mean, I don't want to judge a book by its cover and all, but I don't think the world's gonna miss pimps like that. Just taking it on face value what the kind of guy was and everything. He doesn't seem like the guy anyone's gonna miss all that much. Although those hookers seem to be brainwashed into thinking he was pretty amazing. Um, but yeah, it's a pretty damn tense film. Forrest Whitaker is underutilized in the movie, and his performance is actually not even that amazing. And he's usually fantastic in like everything he's ever been in. In this one, it's just kind of subdued and there. Not really a big fan of his performance in this. Like if this was the only movie he was in, I wouldn't remember him at all. You know, we're not talking about some of his better work by any means. And then Rhoda Mitchell, who I just did the Silent Hill franchise. So I was just talking about her recently. She's beautiful. She's good in this. Katie Holmes is fucking gorgeous, man. That girl is so pretty. She's so adorable. She's just got such a soft features. Such like I don't know how to. She's so cute. She's just so disgustingly cute. And I just watched Batman Begins with my kids recently too, where she plays Rachel Dawes. She's just such a cute girl. I mean, she plays the performance fairly well, but she's not in it a whole ton. Kiefer Sutherland's fantastic in this. His voice has to carry the film, but he's got that very iconic voice. Great stuff, man. He's a very menacing presence, and I always love him as an actor. Everything he's ever been in. And 24 is one of my favorite television series of all time. Big Jack Bauer fan. Big Kiefer Sutherland fan all around. I think he's so cool. He's just such a cool guy. Like in everything he's in. Who knows? He might be a total piece of shit in real life. I don't know. I don't really care. But in movies, like Lost Boys and whatever, doesn't matter. You name it. He's fucking awesome. He's just such a cool, he's so cool looking. The way he acts, the way he talks, his voice, everything is so cool about this guy. And yeah, he really nails this role here for sure. I like that they address the whole hollow points breaking apart and not being able to be traceable in the gun, although they don't then talk about how Colin Farrell's character would not have GSR on his hand. So, that would probably immediately make people go, he has no gunshot residue on his hands. I've been watching too much CSI. So, yeah, they would test his hands for that, and they would see he never fired a gun. So that really wouldn't work out. But he wouldn't know that. So I'm not saying it's unbelievable. I'm just saying maybe Law and Order, SVU, wasn't, or CSI. Yeah, CSI was the one I think I heard that from the first time. Why they kept letting his wife out of the car when they knew there was a sniper out and they could take her down at any moment. They just kept letting her get up out of the car, and it was driving me crazy. I was like, keep that fucking chick in the car. She's going to get her ass shot. What else do I got here? This could have easily been a stage play, the way that they do any of these kinds of movies, these one locations. And I like when the pimp's on him and he's like, I can make him stop. Just say the word. And he like pulls him out of there. And then he's like, yes. And then he shoots him. And then he's like, you shot him. It's like, what'd you think was going to happen? You just think he was going to like run out of the building, run down there and like punch the guy and knock him down and be like, get out of here. Stop harassing my friend. Of course he was going to shoot him. Like his reaction to you shot him is ridiculous to me. Like he asked for that guy to be killed. Plain and simple. Maybe he thought maybe he'd shoot him in the leg or something. Maybe that's what he thought. Maybe he's like, I didn't think he'd kill him. I thought maybe he'd shoot at him. So maybe there's an argument to be made there, but I just found it funny that he was so shocked by the fact that he shot him. That was just like, really? Where did you think this was heading? But in the moment, you're just like being asked, do you want this to stop, as the guy's going to beat the shit out of you. And if he pulls you out of that phone booth, you're going to get killed. Yeah, you're going to be like, yes, whatever, stop him. And then you have to definitely suspend some disbelief at the very end of this movie, where people are just like walking through the crime scene, and Kiefer Sutherland's able to just come over and just like touch his foot and like talk to him in the ambulance and walk away with like a big sniper rifle briefcase, even though the sniper rifle was still upstairs, and all of this and that. Like, no. It gets all so silly to me. You could not walk through there like that. But whatever. It's a movie, I guess. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I've talked. I got really personal here, and I hope that people take that correctly. As I said, like, I'm never trying to like preach on my channel. I'm just trying to extend my experiences on things. Like, I take film very personal at times, and I want to, maybe share some of my experiences with people and get them to maybe see things in a different way. In reality, in real life, not just in the film, but in real life. As I said, it's not worth it. Just be honest. Anyways, so thank you to Peter. Adios.